Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Hello, hello, hello. Today, I am here to teach you how to be a criminal. That is why people come to my channel, to learn how to be a criminal. Criminal mastermind. Kenrith, Kingpin Kenrith, is going to show you how to be a criminal. He's the perfect crime boss, and I'm going to explain why. Now, the 3Ks here, it doesn't look good on its surface, but that wasn't my intent. I recently played Donkey Kong Country. When you beat King K. Rool at the end, it shows like a fake joke parody credit screen where any word that would normally start with C starts with K. So like producer is produced by Crusha, King K, and everything starts with K. That's where this came from. I promise. No ill will or misintentions here. So we got Kenrith. I like him for the criminal. That's a deck that revolves around committing crimes, outlaws, and all that. I like him for the build because he's multicolor, but he also has the ability to proc and target things. You commit a crime by targeting graveyard cards in graveyards, targeting your opponent, targeting their permanents. So he has all these things built into him. Because you might not always have the cards you need to commit a crime, but your commander has them built in. So, and you can also buff your guys, be a support job sort of thing. Well, when counter a target creature, you could do it to your opponent's stuff. You could give your opponent life, drawing cards, but it's also considered a crime because you're targeting. And you could also get a quid of your creatures back. You target something in the yard. Your opponent's going to get it back, but you commit a crime and you get you benefit from it. So to help you help Kenrith be the Kingpin, help him be the Wilson Fisk of this deck, he's got quite a cast of assassins, mercenaries, pirates, rogues, and warlocks. He's got his outlaws. I'm going to quickly get into him. Here's our creatures. Got 29 of them. Very creature-centric deck. Some of my favorites here are the creatures that have a lot of evasion, that can't be blocked, can't be targeted, things of that sort, or at least very difficult to block, allowing you to get in and deal direct combat damage. Number one off the bat is Blighted Agent. Infect, unblockable. So you're guaranteed to commit a crime with this dude. He's a rogue, outlaw, so there you go, right off the bat. You got Dothy Voidwalker, has Shadow. I promise nobody else in your commander pod is gonna have me running anything with Shadow. You're gonna be the only person here. If anybody else at the commander pod plays Shadow, and I'm proven wrong, leave a comment in the comment section. Hit the like, subscribe, and comment, and tell me, Benson, you were wrong. I may even send you some cards and compensate you, and I mean that. This card's great because you can screw with your opponents, attack directly, get in, commit your crimes with your rogue, with your outlaw, and you could exile their stuff with a void counter on it, and you could sack him, choose an exile card opponent with a void counter. You can play that turn without paying its mana cost. This deck does generate a lot of mana from treasure tokens. You'll see that later on. So you can really screw with your opponents, play their stuff against them. Other cards here that really are a lot of fun to mess around with. Boneyard Desecrator. It has Menace, so he's pretty big. He requires 2 creatures to be blocked. And he's got a good sack outlet. Sack another creature, put a counter on him. An outlaw is sacked this way, create a treasure token. This deck does give you some outlaw tokens, mainly mercenaries you can sack. So get yourself plenty of treasure tokens. And you can do this as many times as you want per turn. You can generate multiple tokens per turn. All the treasure tokens you're going to get, quite a lot that could happen here. Breaches, had to include him. He's so funny looking. He's a goblin, but he looks like a monkey. So, a monkey goblin. Eager Pillager. First strike. Whenever a pirate you control attacks, choose one that has been chosen. Treasure token. Target you can't block this turn. Helps you commit those crimes. Exile card, top of your library. You play that card until end of turn. We play it this turn. You should have no problem casting the spells you exile with him. It helps you get through a deck. You definitely need that in Commander. A great card here, Broadside Bombardier, is also a Goblin Pirate. You reach his little friend. And actually, they combo off. They're both easy pirates. Whenever they're pirate, you control attacks. You could choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. You can get this ability can proc pretty frequently. They're pirates got going on. So Broadside Bombardiers, Menace, sacrifice another artifact or creature, deals 2 damage plus that sack's permanent mana value. So it helps you commit those crimes to any target. It's a good sack outlet. But Boast, activate on the creature attack this turn only once each turn. But it's still pretty nice. It gives you extra damage. He's already attacked, but you could do an additional damage. You can even sack a treasure token, just deal 2 damage. If you commit a crime. You can also sack one of your creatures. A lot of your creatures here aren't very big. Maybe the most you could do is, 4 damage. You got some 4 mana guys here. 4 plus 2, so you deal 6 damage. Not a whole lot you can do here, but it does work well with Boneyard Desecrator. Actually, no. What am I saying here? Oops, wrong card. Forsaken Miner. You can get your Forsaken Miner back, sacrificing this here, dealing 3 damage or something each time. Another great card here that has a lot of evasion is Changeling Outcast. He's similar to Blighted Agent, can't be blocked, and he's every creature type, so he works with your breaches. He's an outlaw, gets in undetected, helps you commit those crimes. One fun card here. Kind of 2 of the same. I lumped them together. 3 of them, actually. You got Clone, Phantasmal Image, Phyrexian Metamorph. They can enter the copy of anything on the battlefield. Enter the battlefield as any other creature. Any artifact or creature for Phyrexian Metamorph. This Phantasmal Image. It's a copy of any creature or accepts an illusion. It becomes target of a spell or ability. Sack it. Makes it a little bit limited, but it does give you that copy. Clone. Same thing. So it's ETB enters as a copy. Comes into play as a copy of that. You copy your own creatures, you copy your opponents. It's going to be great to copy a lot of your own cards. So if you were to copy something like Necrotal, this comes into play. He's an assassin, old school from Visions. Comes into play as your target creature, non-black creature, can't be regenerated. You can get that additional trigger. You got Marsh Flitter, copy this, comes into play, gives you 2 goblin rogues. You could copy your hostage taker, exile your opponent's stuff. The potential is limitless. One great thing I definitely could see doing is it pairs nicely with your Direfleet Ravager. Enters the battlefield, each player loses a third of their life rounded up. So he's a pirate, makes him an outlaw. So you copy this with any of your cloning cards. You could go ham and make this happen several times. It's going to affect you, but you should have enough resources to string out the rest of the game and get along just fine. So there's not much to say about here. Again, Menace and Death Touch, pretty big guy here. Tough to block, helps you get those crimes in. This guy's a lot of fun. Deep Muck Desperado, I had to include him. Shout out to my Hybrid fans out there. Whenever you commit a crime, each opponent mills 3 cards. Only triggers once each turn. It's kind of limited in that sense. But if you commit crimes during your opponent's turn, you can mill again. So you can even clone this with your 3 clone cards, Metamorph, Phantasmal, and Clone. They come into play at copies of him. Commit those crimes every turn. Everybody's milling, 3... What is this? 3, 6, 9, 12. So if you copy that, you can mill everybody for 12 cards. The ability triggers once each turn. I think you can get this... Somebody check me on this. I think you can get this multiple times. You have multiple copies of him. So this guy, Duelist of the Mind, he's a bit different. Flying Vigilance, power to get a number of cards you draw this turn. Whenever you commit a crime, you draw cards. Helps you draw. You draw a few cards each turn. You can get pretty big. But again, Flying Vigilance definitely goes a very long way. Forsaken Miner, again, we talked about him. This one's great. Hellspur, Posse Boss. Gives your outlaws haste, so he's a lord in a sense. When it enters, create 2 mercenaries. So if you were to clone him, you get additional bodies. So giving those bodies haste. Hostage Taker, I touched on that. You can take your opponent's stuff. You can spend mana of any type to cast that spell. This Vine Lasher, again, mostly an assassin. He gives you an extra body if you do the offspring. But mainly it's his landfall. There are some interesting lands in this deck that let you do a lot of land recursion. There's also a card in this deck that combos nicely with him. You'll see why later. But if you clone him and you just keep playing lands, you're committing crimes every time you do 1 damage to target opponent. More on that later. This dude, Kelsey and the Plague, Vigilance, Haste, 1/1 creature experience counter. 1 damage to target creature you don't control. That creature dies, you get an experience counter. But you can get bigger and bigger. Pretty dangerous. Jasper Flint. This lets you play your opponent's stuff against them. Creatures you control but don't own are mercenaries, other types. Beginning of your upkeep, exile top X cards, target opponent's library. X number of outlaws you control. You may cast those. Any man of any type to cast them. You could also, you get those creatures, you could sack them with Boneyard Desecrator. Since you sacked an outlaw, you get the treasure tokens. You can benefit. You got Lazav here. He can do some interesting stuff. Commit a crime. He gets a 1/1 counter on him. You can commit a lot of crimes. You get pretty big. Then you may exile a card from a graveyard. If a creature's exiled this way, he becomes a copy of that card until end of turn. Only triggers once each turn. So pretty good. Becomes a copy, but he keeps those counters. Definitely want something like that around. Got Marchesa, commit a crime again. One of the top 2 cards in your library helps you get through your library. Marsh Flitter, Necrotal we touched on. Olivia had to have this one. Flying Lifelink, you need that. So you can gain that life back with the Dire Fleet Ravager. Whenever one of our outlaws you control do combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. Sack 2 treasures, 1/1 counter. 2 1/1 counters on each creature you control. So this can go off pretty quick. All the treasures you're going to have and all the mana you got laying around. So buckle up for that. Raven of Fell Omens. When you commit a crime, each opponent loses 1 life. You gain 1 life. This ability triggers once each turn. If you have multiple copies of this, by cloning, you're going to be alright. You're going to gain a lot of life each turn. It's not an outlaw, but it does have flying, so you could, move on over, peck him in the head, commit your crime. Slitherbraid, I meant to lump him up with Archangel like Outcast, Blighted Agent. He's unblockable and he's a rogue, not much to say there. This one here is great. Donna Adele the Inquisitor. Just combat damage to a player. Search library for an artifact and exile it. The player shuffles. So in a turn, you may play that card. You could play the artifacts against them. You could make yourself the Lord of the Rings. You could steal everybody's soul rings, everybody's wonder rings, and play them against them. You have until end of turn, but all the treasure tokens you make with this deck, it will be a non-issue. And given the island walk, there's going to be, I promise, there's going to be somebody playing blue at your table. She's going to get in just fine. One of my pet cards I've liked for a long time is this really, I think, underrated 2-mana gem here, 3/2 Vial Smasher. Whenever their outlaw enters the battlefield you control, deals 1 damage to target opponent. You could get a lot of outlaws at once with this deck. And there's a couple other cards in here you'll see that, excuse me, make her quite potent. That I will show you later. This dude here, you got Vihan, Gold Waker, outlaws you control, and Vigilance and Haste. So you got another Lord. Beginning of your turn, you may have treasures you control become Construct Assassins. It's another type. So basically, you can animate all your treasures, get in there, and just beat face. And you're going to be creating tons of treasures. Some sorceries. Back in town. This is the perfect card for, outlaw deck. Return X target outlaw creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Demonic Tutor, Diabolic Tutor, Standard Tutors. You need them. You got to have them. Seize the Secrets. It works with the crime mechanic. You need to be drawing cards in Commander to get through your deck. Your instance, I got a lot of pretty versatile removal. Abrupt Decay. Offer you can't refuse. I couldn't resist this in a deck based on crimes. You think of crimes, The Godfather. I make you an offer you can't refuse. Was that Godfather? I don't know. Later, Marlon Brando. The women and the children. Offer you can't refuse. Counter target non-creature spell. Let's control the creates 2 treasure tokens. That probably wasn't very good, but I tried. Counter target non-creature spell. Again, they get treasure tokens this time. You can even counter your own non-creature spell if you wanted to, just to get the treasure tokens. But I think you want to have this as an unconditional counter target non-creature spell. Assassin's Trophy. It thematically fits and it's extremely powerful. We all know what this does. Destroy target permanent, even a land. They get a basic land in return. Haunted Crossfire. This is great. 2 damage to each outlaw creature, 2 damage to each non-outlaw creature. So you just get in there, you just target all the non-outlaws, everyone's going to suffer. It's not a lot of damage, but it's something. It clears out a lot of small decks that rely on like small tokens maybe. Path to Exile. Again, we all know what this does. 3 steps ahead. So if you want to be a criminal mastermind, criminal kingpin, Kenrith, you gotta be 3 steps ahead. This card I thought was perfect. Counters spells, creates a token. It's a copy of target artifact or creature you control. So again, more copying, and then drawing and discarding. You'll have enough mana to use all 3 of these modes. What is that? That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you'll have plenty of mana to do this. I promise. Artifacts in this deck. Arcane Signet, Soul Ring. We don't need to talk about that. Bandit's Hall. Thematically, this is perfect. Whenever you commit a crime, put a loot counter on Bandit's Hall. This ability triggers only once each turn. Tap. It's basically a mana rock. Remove 2 loot counters. Draw a card. So you're going to be proccing this a lot. Really, the key artifact here that you get to play around with is your Grafted Exoskeleton. If creature gets +2 to it as Infect. You're going to want to put this on a few different cards. Mainly, you're going to want to put this on your Vial Smasher. So whenever another outlaw enters, deals 1 damage to target opponent. So if you can get a lot of your outlaws out at once, just casting your creatures or creating outlaw tokens from things like our Hellspur boss or our Marsh Flitter, you can end somebody pretty quickly. Between these 2 cards, you're going to be getting, this gives you basically 3 creatures for the price of 4 mana. So that's 3 infect damage. This one, same thing, 3 infect damage. You find a way to clone, that's 3 more. They're up to 6 poison counters. 4 more, and it's 90 night. You can poison out your opponents with her. You can put on your exoskeleton on some of your unblockable dudes. Just sneak in, poke them if you really want to do the infect. You can put the Grafted Exoskeleton on your Vine Lasher here and really go ham and deal that damage to target opponent. You got a lot of land recursion in this deck. We'll be getting into that shortly. So really, a lot of versatility, a lot of different things here you can do. You can even put the Exoskeleton on Broadside Bombardiers and deal your infect damage here as well. Possibilities are endless. Moving on, enchantments. As long as it's your turn, outlaws you control are first strike. Whenever you commit a crime, create a mercenary. So whenever another outlaw enters, your Vial Smasher is going to be going off. Only triggers once each turn, but that's okay. Whenever you commit a crime, you get tokens. You get a creature token, but it's a buff for everything. So a lot of these auras you see here, I put them in because they're recursion, but they're also a form of control a little bit, and they are a bit of a buff. So Cage of Hands, Forced Worship, and Shackles. Hands a creature can attack or block, or doesn't untap in this step. Yeah, it can attack Forced Worship. Does not untap to its controller's untap phase. Can attack or block. You can get these back to your hand. Basically, the idea is these are cards that will guarantee you to commit a crime by targeting creatures. You can get them back. So if these get removed, you can pay this cost, get them back into your hand. Other cards that are similar to get back: Crown of Flames, Shimmering Wings, Whip Silk, Flickering Ward, Volrat's Curse. Flickering Ward gives you a bit of a protection aspect, and you can get it back to your hand. You can target your opponent's stuff, but just be careful. Just make sure you get it back into your hand. Really this gives reach. This gives flying. The Volrat's Curse is really interesting. Great control card. Cannot attack, block, or play any other ability required activation cost. That creature's controller may sacrifice a permanent. So if they really want to get past this, they can sack a permanent. But you can return this to its owner's hand, so letting you get this back. Then you got stuff like Brackish Crew, enters the battlefield. This is not an aura. Create a mercenary token. Whenever an outlaw you control dies, your opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. So if you could sack your outlaws with your friend Boneyard up here, he's going to be going off. So outlaw dies, your opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. This is a lot of fun. Intimidation campaign. ETB, your opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life, you draw a card. Whenever you commit a crime, you may return it to its owner's hand. So all the treasures you're taking, you're creating, and all the crimes you're committing, you could cycle this in and out of play quite a few times between your mana rocks, your treasures, and your general overall criminal enterprise. People are going to be sorry they ever decide to mess with you and your criminal kingpin friend Kenrith. So the lands, pretty interesting bunch. I find 5-color decks to be challenging in the mana base, but so this one, the number 1 card here is all the ETB tapped, deal 1 damage target opponent lands. from Thunder Junction I put into this deck. So they enter the battlefield, they're giving you mana, they're tapped, but they're committing you a crime. So what you want to do here is you have several ways of bouncing these back to your hands. I put in the bounce lands from Ravnica block. So you play these bounce lands, and then you could get these guys, your Braided Bluffs, your Backwoods, your Eroded Canyons back to your hand. And then you can play them again to commit those crimes. But also, that landfall trigger does work nicely with your Vine Lasher, especially if you offspringed it, or if you cloned it and you got yourself an additional copy. So every time you do that, whenever a land enters, you control does 1 damage to target opponent. So pretty darn good, I'd say. Can't go wrong there, especially if he has Infect. You're going to be bouncing a lot of your lands. Quite a lot going on here. Bojica Bog, you're targeting a graveyard. Well, exile target player's graveyard. I'm not quite sure if this counts as a crime. You're not targeting a card, you're just exile target player's graveyard. I think you're targeting them, so maybe it'll count. Somebody let me know in the comments. Pretty standard other stuff here. Again, more of these ETB tapped. Deal 1 damage. Got a Tri-Omen here. Fabled Passage, help you filter out the deck. Mana Confluence, a good, great mana fixing. That's really it. I don't know what else to say here. I think this is pretty interesting. It's a lot of fun. These auras, I think, are definitely underrated. Crown of Flames is kind of weak here. You don't really want to be given fire breathing. Yeah, it's nice, but it's really not, you know, kind of an old-fashioned mechanic. But mainly, it does help you commit crimes, get it back to your hand, so on and so forth. Let me know what you think of this deck. Let me know if I helped you become a better criminal. Are you going to join Kenrith's criminal enterprise? Let me know what you think in the comments. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm kind of falling back on my watch hours lately. I got to get those back up. So please, make sure you hit the like button. And most of all, let me know what you think in the comments. I love interacting with my commenters. And again, Dothy Voidwalker, my offer still stands from earlier in the video. Anyway, I'll leave it there, everyone. Thanks for your time. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.